Hey guys, kumusta na? It's been a while. One of the main reasons why I wanted to start this channel is because I knew I was gonna test a lot of stuff, a lot of smart controls, a lot of smart home products, right? And the reason being is I'm actually going to build a house. I'm actually sorry, I'm actually building a house right now. No, it's a very small house, and I sort of, you know, um, before I would post in a lot of forums, but now this is the new medium. So this is, I'm basically doing a brain dump into YouTube, right? So maybe you guys can give me some tips as well, right? But I'll also give you guys tips on what I've learned into, building this from the ground up. So what the reason why I'm doing this right now is I'm actually building my house and I wanted to start this journey with you guys, okay? So I'll show you the house just so you can get a better idea. So it's a two-story house. It's not that big, right? It's about 240 square meters. So what's that? 20 by 12 meters. Okay. So this is the ground floor. Okay. The right side of the house will be all garden. No? And then this area will be our living area, right? So you enter from here, this is the garage. You'll enter from here, this living area, and then stairs, and then we've got a powder room here, a pantry over here, a dining room, and then a sliding door which moves into a lanai area, a kitchen area, and then this is our maid's quarters, a service area, and then like a area where we can dry our clothes, no? And then once you go up the stairs here, um, this is the second floor, so this is basically where all the bedrooms are. I've got two kids, so I've got one bedroom. I've got two bedrooms here. I've got a study area for the kids here, and then this one I'm actually gonna make into my office, right? Me and my wife predominantly work from the house, so we're gonna make this a work area, okay? And then this is the master's bedroom. We got a walk-in closet, and then uh, our toilet, right? So this is just to give you guys a better understanding of what I'm working with. And okay, let's start now. So these are the areas that I'm focusing on integrating, right? So the priority are actually the lights, switches, and the smart locks, right? The lights, basically the normal lights. There's like 1 gang, 2 gang, 3 gang, up to 4 gang. Okay. I want some lights dimmable, and then the stairs. I'm gonna place an LED in the bottom of the stairs, right? Sorry, per step in the underneath the stairs. Now, I'll show that to you guys in a while. And then the switches, okay, infrared sensors, door sensors, the circuit breaker, the main circuit breaker, smart locks, the valve control for our pipes, gas detectors, and automated sprinkler for the garden that I showed you on. Okay, so a couple of things that I've learned here in the Philippines, we normally don't have neutral wiring in our light switches, right? So that's what I've learned. I've tried to do an installation in the current house that we're living in without a neutral wire, and the problem is sometimes it would flicker, right? Such a hassle. Sometimes it would flicker. Um, now that I know that, I'm having that automatically placed into all the light switches. And the other one is so this is the standard size for a light switch box or a circuit box here in the Philippines, and this length here is 40 millimeters. Okay, now the issue here is the depth. It doesn't leave a lot of space for wiring, right? And this is a big issue for me, right? Because once you place all the wires here and then you place the switch, things are gonna get squished, and you don't really want that to happen, especially with live wiring. No? Unfortunately, it's not really standard for you to find something that's deeper. I was able to find this box, which was 50 millimeters over here. So this is 40, so it adds an additional 10 millimeters, right? That extra 10 millimeters will mean a lot. So, especially if you're gonna tinker around with your house, like me, I like to change things up a bit. You want to troubleshoot if one of the light switches doesn't work, it's just gonna be so much easier. So just, spend a little extra and buy a bigger circuit box. Okay. So that's one thing I've learned with the light switches. Now here's the thing. No, I've got two options. So I've been testing two different brands. One is Mo's, and the other one is Smat Rule. Okay, weird name, no? They're both available on Lazada. So me predominantly I order over Lazada because it's easier to return, right? The problem here in the Philippines with Shopee is that when you have to return something, you pay for the shipping going back, right? So that's why Shopee's usually cheaper, but Lazada, automatically it's easy for me to return stuff. And particularly these two brands, right? As soon as I have an issue with any, automatically, like within an hour, they already approve my return, and I just have to have it picked up from the house or I drop it off somewhere. No, so not a problem. These also they reply to me. They actually talk to me right away. No, so my option is either go Zigbee or Wi-Fi first of all. So um, so these are the other issues, no? Sorry, the other differences, right? Number one is price also. So it might not seem a lot, but when you have to buy something like 20 switches, it adds up, it stacks up. The lights for the Zigbee, this one over here, um, it it's only blue. So if the lights are off, the blue is on, and you can switch this around. No, you can switch this around in the app. In Smart Rule, it's both blue and red. So this one is more of a winner for me. No, the price as well is a winner for me. So the other one is on the mode, no. So for Zigbee, they say like, okay, Zigbee's better because you're not taking up any of your Wi-Fi. It it's faster also, right? And then the issue here is, if you ask me, it's a little bit more complicated for Zigbee, right? You set it up, um, it's once it's set up, it's fine. But the more components that you add into a smart home for me, and anything in any technology, the more components you add, it just adds that layer, right? In terms of things that can break, right? So for me personally, I'm gonna add maybe like 20 switches, maybe a total of maybe less than 100 things in my Wi-Fi, which won't, it's gonna send very, very small amounts of data. I don't think it's gonna be a big issue, especially with the newer Wi-Fis, right? If you're using like an old router or old access point, yes, you might have issues. But I think for this one, not so much. The other add-on here is this particular Wi-Fi, and guys, look for this. Now, some are just Wi-Fi, but there's one with an RF333, RF4333. This one means that you can use an RF remote to remotely control them, right? So you can buy like a remote, and then you can turn things on and off like remotely, not even over Wi-Fi, right? So that one's very interesting for me. It'll be an option. It's not a priority for me. The other one is the sound when you hit the switch, right? So the Zigbee one, at least this brand, it's silent, right? And then here in the Wi-Fi one, the Smart Rule, it actually makes a clicking sound, right? So this might be a pro or a con. So I do have a switch beside me, and then let me just place it near the mic now so you can hear. So do you hear that? That's actually the relay going on and off inside of it. So I'm not so sure if that's gonna annoy you guys. But for this one, I'm not so sure. But when you hit a normal light switch, you will make a sound anyway. So I'm not so sure if it's a pro or a con for some people. Some people might want that sound just so that they know if they hit the light switch or not. Okay. The other one is, you see this small like Wi-Fi symbol dot. Here in the Zigbee one, it does nothing. There's nothing, right? Even if it's connected to the Zigbee hub, it doesn't light up. For the Wi-Fi one, this one lights up. So this one, it is also a positive for me, because it's easier for you to troubleshoot, no? So this one definitely, it's a, I would say it's a plus, right? Quite frankly, obviously, with everything I've told you, I'm actually leaning towards the Wi-Fi version. Okay. So with that, I'm also looking at like dimming and fan control as well, right? So you do have like options for both of them. Both of them are both Wi-Fi only. I haven't found like a Zigbee version, right? And that's another thing about the Zigbee, right? So usually Zigbee devices are a bit more expensive, primarily because of the royalties that they have to pay for the Zigbee license, right? As compared to Wi-Fi, no? Um, so you can see here, they're basically almost the same price. This is about, let's pop open my calculator, for the people in the other areas divided by 50, that's about 16 US dollars. So of course there's certain lights that I do want to be able to be dimmable, like for instance in our own room, or certain areas like the lanai area that I was talking about. That's on the ground floor here. Obviously we're gonna do a lot of drinking there, diba? Like with friends. So you know, at a certain point, you don't want it to be so bright that you know all the scotch or beer that you've drank, no, sayang lang, right? So obviously you want the dimmer. The other option is, I'll probably get like some ceiling fans, right? So there's another option wherein you know you just plop an extra dollar and you can control the ceiling fan as well as the lights as well. Okay, so this is on the switches. The other one, so this one I'm gonna make a totally separate video because there's a lot of things involved in making stairs like this, right? And this is what I'm targeting. Currently, our stairs looks like this right now. Now, there's actually no stairs. They haven't poured the concrete yet. So I'm gonna make a separate video of all of the things that you need to do before they even pour the concrete. Once they pour the concrete, it's gonna be very hard for you to do something. Um, well, not super hard, but it's just easier if you just prepare for things, no? So that's on the lights and the light switches. By the way, I'm not doing like smart lights, except for like some certain LED parts, LED strip parts. You know, I'm not doing smart bulbs because I find it kind of useless if you ask me. I don't really like changing the color of things. Another one, right? Um, you know, it's nice to show, you know, it's a gimmick if you ask me. But at the end of the day, you'll probably stick with like a white light, you know, one of these types of lights at the end of the day. So it's not really that useful for me, based off experience. So, and it's also more expensive, right? The other one is, when you have a smart bulb, right? When you turn off the light, that device turns off as well, right? So you can't really, you know, it's kind of useless, you know. You're gonna buy two separate things just to control a light. Just buy the light switch if you ask me. No? Okay, let's move into electrical switches, right? So here, this one I'm still on the fence about this because if you ask me, I don't really need to control everything that's plugged in. I would rather control the lights because at least with the lights, if my wife tells me, "Oh, you left something on downstairs," you know, it's fine. You know, I can just hit it. You know, pick up my phone and turn something off. No, but like for instance with these outlets, number one, you know, a standard convenience outlet would be like $2-3, and you know the price just goes up. I would rather have maybe a plug that I can just move around, right? And it's cheaper as well, no? There is power monitoring, but I don't really need to monitor the power in every single room, diba? It's like information overload. But here's one thing though. I would highly encourage you guys, if you're building up your own house, to place a ground, right? And that way, especially with like these electrical devices, that's a little smarter. If you don't have a ground there, you know, it might break over time, no? So it's best that you have a ground because if it overloads, that excess energy has somewhere to go to, no? And at the same time, it's just safer as well. Unfortunately, here in the Philippines, it's not common for us to have a ground in our electrical outlets, no? So do have a ground placed in your house, no? So this one, most likely I'll go with the route of just plugins, right? Okay, next is on the infrared sensor, right? So for this one, there's actually two options. There's actually one that you actually hardwire into a wall, and then you can actually connect this to a circuit, right? Electrical circuit. This is what I prefer because these ones, especially if, like, for instance, I'm planning on placing this in the stairs, so automatically as soon as someone goes down the stairs, it'll turn on, right? And I can set it na, okay, it will be dimmed at a certain time if someone's going downstairs to get water in the kitchen. It'll be a little dimmer as compared to like the day, no? And it won't turn on during the day as well, no? But these ones, based off my testing, number one, it's a little inaccurate. Also, because the battery um, dies a little faster. So this one's usually battery powered, and this one, like I mentioned, it's plugged in, so you don't have to worry. This one usually dies within like 6 months, right? Especially if it's a high traffic area, so medyo hassle to change the battery, no? The other area, of course, door sensors. This one's general use. This one is battery, right? It takes like two double A's that you stick here inside. So this one, it's not a rush. I'll find some uses for it. But most likely I'll place this within like the doors of the kids and our room as well, right? So probably get it just like a few, no? This one I really want, right? So this one I'll get like maybe like 120 amp one just for the main circuit box. Why? Because I want to be able to monitor the power, right? The energy that's going through the house. Also because I'm planning on having solar installed in the roof of our house. So I want to see the difference on, the consumption of that and then versus our own electric grid, and I can compare this, right? Okay, so this is one. The other one is smart locks. Okay, so this one I'm still researching, but this is one of the things that I need to buy before the house is done. So there's some pros and cons here. Do I want this to be super smart, right? The pro here is of course, if it's connected to Wi-Fi, I can remotely unlock it for someone else, right? Say for instance, we're out of the country, and then I need someone to pick something up in the house and they don't have keys to the house. I can remotely unlock it for them, right? But that same convenience can be a security issue if someone like is able to hack this, right? So there's like some pros and cons on having this so smart. You might want to have it semi-smart where it's not connected to Wi-Fi, and it's just purely for the convenience of being able to unlock it without a key, right? So usually you've got a couple of options for unlocking. So usually like this area here is a fingerprint reader. You also want a keypad so you can place in a key, a code so you can unlock the door. I would prefer one that can be randomized. So there's like certain ones that the numbers jumble up, because that's another security issue, because a guy can just like find out like, okay, which keys are sort of like a little bit pressed a little bit more, no? And then maybe they might be able to guess it, right? Another one is you can have an RF reader, right? I do want to have an RF reader, and then you can use your phone. You just have to tap it, because most phones right now they've got RFID in their phone. And then you can use a smart card or like a smart sticker, that you can just stick onto your phone or your bag or something like that, no? So definitely this one. The more branded ones are a bit more expensive. So this one's like about, let's bring up my calculator again. This one's about, let's say it's 3.5. This is about $70. The more expensive one, like Yale and all of these stuff, they're usually like 20,000. So medyo, that one kind of hurts, right? It's like buying a new cell phone, no? So the next one that I want to do is on water valve control. So this one, here in the Philippines, at least where I live, sometimes we'll get some water interruptions and they're not even announced, or they're not even accurate with their announcement. So it's kind of hard. So we usually have like water tanks in the house, right? Most people have water tanks. And I just want to automate the switching from the local water company to my water tank, like without having to leave, my room or something, go outside just to turn on, switch this valve, right? So this one, you basically just connect it to the valve, and then there's like a motor that just switches it. Okay. So once again, this is something that I can decide on later because I can just install it later on. No. Um, Oh, sorry, I used the same picture now. But basically, it's like a smoke or CO2 detector. So you know, um, let's just open up the picture of the smoke detector. So this one's fairly simple. Everyone knows what a smoke detector looks like. So for this one, the option here is not having it smart also, right? Because there are smoke detectors that aren't smart. They're almost the same price, right? They're almost the same price. I don't need a lot also, so it's not gonna hurt the bank. But the con is that um, the Wi-Fi one, the battery lasts for about like less than a year, right? The one that's not Wi-Fi, like 2 years on the battery, no? So that's like the only pro and con for this one, no? So let's go back. The other one is, this one can be done later on. I do want to place like a sprinkler automation system inside the house as well, right? So at least it's easier for me. I can change it from my phone. No, if it's like a little hotter for the day, I can connect this to like the temperature reader, or like when the sun goes down. Generally, you would want to um, make dilig or sprinkler your garden when the sun is down, so at least the water doesn't evaporate right away, no? And your plants can get more water. So this one has a lot of advantages if you automate this as well. So those are it. These are basically like the things that I want to automate, and we'll go through all of these stuff as I build my house. And I just want to do this video to give you guys an update on what I want to do, and then of course if I can get some advice from you guys as well. Okay. So thanks guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well if you wanna join me in this journey. Okay.